Hi, I'm Wes Allen with DM Tales, and today I am completing my trilogy of Iron Falcon RPG reviews. This is my look at the Iron Falcon Handbook of Monsters. Let's roll it. The Handbook of Monsters for Iron Falcon comes in at 166 pages and expands the number of monsters available for the system by quite a bit. What it does is takes the creatures that are found in the Iron Falcon core rulebook and the Basic Fantasy RPG core rulebook, represents them for Iron Falcon, and puts them out for everybody to use to play. It's pretty impressive. It uses the exact same design language that Iron Falcon uses. There's a nice sans serif font for both headings and for the body text. Still think the body text might be a little bit light for older eyes, but I don't generally have an issue reading it. I am now at the older eye stage as well, so I have to keep that in mind. It's still very nicely done. Tables and all presentation is done in Chris Gonnerman's classic style. They have that nice thin line that differentiates one row from another. And this looks really good. It's not classic modern designed, but it is extremely readable and very usable. I appreciate it a lot. There isn't a ton of artwork in the Handbook of Monsters, which might be my biggest knock on the book. I'd like to see more, especially with some of these monsters that are unique to Iron Falcon or Basic Fantasy RPG, but what's there is really good. It has that old school ink and pencil drawing feel to it. I love the Mushroom Man. I think that's really one of the great ones. Also, the troll picture in this book is really phenomenal. The goblins, the hobgoblins, and the gnolls are also really good imagery. There's such good imagery in the book, I just want to see more of it is really all there is. One of the things that I have been remiss on in all of my reviews of the Iron Falcon books is I've never mentioned the cover art. And I think this is because my brain just skipped over it because it looked like it was just black on white, and yay, that's great. But I haven't done the system justice. The covers for the Iron Falcon rulebooks are all reverse contrast. So it's a black background with white imagery and just black lines on top. It is really, really strong. It's something I should have highlighted with the first two books, with Iron Falcon's core rulebook and Iron Falcon 75. It is definitely something I cannot overlook here for the Handbook of Monsters because it is phenomenal. It captures the essence of the book perfectly. You encounter a party which is pretty much in process of a TPK as all these various creatures are emerging from the darkness and utterly taking it to the party. And you get right from the jump, looking at this cover, that this is a book for the monsters. This is the creatures are taking it to you, and that's what this book is about. And it's really well done. Also, go back and look at those covers for the other two books. They are incredible. Pages 2 to 154 is the listing of the creatures for Iron Falcon, and it uses Chris Gonnerman's classic style, those thin lines between each row in a table. That's the presentation of the general information for the creatures, only it adds something that was not in the original Iron Falcon core rulebook. Each creature does have their experience point value listed in its entry, so it's just a little bit less calculation for the GM to make. Something I really like. Chris didn't want to put it in the Iron Falcon core rulebook because it wasn't in original D&D and he was going for the full retro clone. And now we've progressed a little further away, so he's beginning to add some stuff that's just there for quality of life purposes. I love that it's included in the Handbook of Monsters. Really well done. Each entry for the creatures contains a paragraph or two depicting its general personality, the types of attacks that it wants to do, its resistances, and its different abilities. One of the things I might want to see added in future publications of Iron Falcon, if there can be any, we'll get to that in a little bit, would be to pull some of these items out into bullet points that can just give you a quick glance reference for what this creature can do. I can read. I have no problem gleaning this information from the paragraph, but if I'm looking at the table and I want to look up information really quick, it'd be nice to have those bullet points that I could just work off of and have that trigger my memory for the fuller explanation that occurs in the paragraph. But it's still very readable, it's still very usable, and it does have that nice old school feel to it. Again, this is a really nice emulation of old school play. It is clean, it is well presented, and it has a boatload of creatures that you can throw at your unsuspecting adventurers until your heart is content. This is a fun book to page through. Pages 155 to 164 add some supplemental information for Iron Falcon RPG. One of the coolest of these is the random encounter tables for dungeons based on level. But it also adds something into the mix because a dungeon is supposed to be a dynamic environment. There are creatures who live here. And so there is a table that is inside the Handbook of Monsters that will let you roll to determine on what level you encounter a creature. Are they one level above where they should be? Are they one level below where they should be? Because creatures might be hunting at different levels of the dungeon, looking for resources or quick prey, or maybe just a way out to escape the place. You just have no idea. And this chart inside Iron Falcon's Handbook of Monsters gives you that little mechanical lever that you can pull to see what kind of creature are we going to encounter as we walk through these corridors of this ancient buried place. It's a really nice addition. This is something I probably will pull into my basic fantasy RPG the next time we go into a very deep delve. That's really cool. That section ends with a nice table of random encounters for a city or a village, which is something that I often overlook as a GM. I treat my cities or my towns as almost safe spaces, so I'm not having to get mugged left and right. But this is a nice reminder. When you're out on the edge of civilization, or even when you're in a large city, not everybody is nice and wonderful and law-abiding, and you might have some issues. And, creatures do like to come in and see if they can pick off some people in the dark shadows of things every now and again. So adding that table for random city encounters, that's pretty nice. It's a good inclusion. And then the book is capped off with a treasure table based on the treasure type that goes with each creature in the book. And finally, a representation of the Iron Falcon RPG XP per hit dice awards that you see in the original core rulebook. Really nicely done. If you play Iron Falcon, or really if you play any OD&D or original Dungeons & Dragons retro clone, this is a book you probably want to pick up. I like it a lot. There is a lot of value in it, and having all these creatures rejiggered for the Iron Falcon RPG power level. It puts in a lot of creatures that were present in Basic Fantasy RPG and now introduces them to this older style play. Right now, it is dirt cheap. You can get it off of Amazon for $9.75 as a softbound or $21 as a hardbound. At least you can buy it off of Amazon as of this recording, because things might be changing. Wizards of the Coast has announced their plans to redo the open gaming license under which Iron Falcon RPG is published. And when that happens, it may come to a point, despite their non-legally binding assurances, that this published book is going to have to be brought down because Chris is not going to put it in compliance with OGL 2.0 and its really draconian measures to lock down third-party publishers, and he's right to do that. So if you want to pick up this book in print, I would get it as soon as you can. Don't put it off, because once Wizards of the Coast comes out with that new version and starts saying that every other version of the OGL is completely deauthorized, you're not going to be able to get it in print anymore. And that really is a shame. Because Chris is wanting to get this book into as many people's hands as possible, he did accelerate his timeline for making this available as a PDF to the general public, and it is in fact available as a PDF download right now on Iron Falcon RPG's website. I will put a link below. But this is something really worth picking up, and if you can throw Chris Gonnerman a dime or two for getting this out to the community, in a time where everything is uncertain, I'm sure he would really appreciate it. Next up, I'm going to be taking a look at a game that I got for Christmas, Open Legend RPG. This is a game which purports to be an open source game, and we will be talking a little bit about what that means in the review that I do, but It has really cool mechanics, and it's completely genreless. So you can basically fit anything that you want into it, because Open Legend is more like a set of Legos that you build things together and just set them free out into the world. It's really cool. I'm excited to talk with you about it, and if you do want to see my written review of it over on my DM Tales website, I'll put the link below in the description. But until we see each other again, folks, happy playing, everyone.